So this is my second video in a row being inspired by a long dormant booktuber. And last video was Ruben from To Readers It May Concern, and this video is someone who perhaps I can dub him Christopher of Nubia, or as many know him, the cartoon hedgehog. That is Christopher Russell of the channel Christopher Russell, who was a big hit on BookTube perhaps 10 to 13 years ago when he actually made videos. And I think around 6 to 7 years ago he made a resurgence following Scandal, and he is since dormant again. So I haven't seen any new videos, but I was inspired by the fortuitous chance recommendation of an old YouTube video of Christopher's called, I believe it was called My NYRB Collection, where he shows us his neat little shelf of NYRB Classics. I think most of us know what those are. The nice little pastel colored reprints of not so much the big classic works, but we're talking cult classics or fringe classics that publishers like Penguin or Oxford either don't think are important enough or aren't willing to take a chance on printing. So NYRB does some of the lesser known titles, but they're, from what I've seen on the internet at least, they're well regarded for both their choices and the way they print books, like how the covers look and the quality of the paper. And yeah, people seem to love them. So I was inspired by that video. I watched it again. I think I watched it in 2008 when it first came out, when Christopher was making videos. But then I watched it again yesterday or 2 days ago, and it got me thinking I should continue my bookshelf tour that I started a couple days ago with my reference works. And I'll continue, and I'll show you guys all my NYRB classics. So let's get started. Gonna pull the first one off the shelf. This book, this NYRB, is The World of Odysseus by Sir Moses Finley, introduced by Bernard Knox. Yeah, so honestly, I'm not sure why this is an NYRB classic, but it seems like a good work of scholarship. It's The World of Odysseus is Finley's account of the dating of the Homeric poems, that being the Iliad and the Odyssey. First, Finley goes through why these two poems, well, he says, and this is agreed upon by many modern scholars, he dates Homer, or the poet known as Homer, whoever he or they might have been, they being plural, not... let's drop that. But he dates Homer to the early 8th century BC. And that is a range that most scholars agree with. One scholar that I read recently, Robin Lane Fox, he's old now, but he's been a Greek and Roman historian for a long time now, 50 years. And he places Homer around 750 to 730, which lines up with Finley enough that there's no need to contest anything. But within that, so you have Homer writing in the early 8th century, a little before Hesiod. Hesiod is believed to have come 10, 20, 30, 40 years after Homer sometime. I'm not sure on those dates. But we know that Homer based on archaeology and social history, we know that Homer wasn't writing about contemporary times. This was an oral tradition, of course, that the Iliad and the Odyssey come from, but it's harkening back to this age of heroes, this age of mighty heroes and huge battles and such. And a long time ago, people thought, hey, this might be from the Greek Mycenaean Bronze Age, the famous wealthy and battle-filled age of Greece from, we'll say like the 14th century BC to around 1200 BC, when the Bronze Age Mycenaean civilization just collapsed. And the people that unearthed the archaeological ruins at Troy were really trying to date this discovery at Troy, this discovery of a layer called Troy 7 Alpha, 7A. They were like, oh, this is the right time period at Troy. Like, the Iliad actually happened here. But Moses Finley in this book is saying, no, like, for one, Homer gets so much wrong about the Mycenaean age that we really can't assume that he was writing about it, because there's basically nothing that lines up. And two, there's no archaeological records of this event, this battle, the huge Trojan War taking place at all, be it in the Mycenaean age or elsewhere. But Finley here, he's saying, it makes a lot more sense that this happened in the Greek Dark Ages, which were placed after the end of the Mycenaean collapse and before the literate society of Homer's day, when they could actually write down these poems because they adopted a form of the Phoenician alphabet. And Finley places this around the time that he says the time that Homer was writing about was around the 10th to the 9th century BC Greece. And after he does a couple chapters of talking about the traveling bards of the Homeric period and the dating of both the Iliad and the Odyssey, and why you can't really take any historicity from the events of Homer, but they can inform on the social and anthropological history. After Finley does that, then he goes into what was the society like in the Homeric Dark Ages, and how can that inform upon our readings of the Iliad and the Odyssey. And the main ways that Finley talks about this are through social hierarchy. So why are Odysseus and Agamemnon and the other aristocratic kings, why are they ahead of their fellow aristocrats, and how does their relationship with their common soldiers impact the war, and how does the social structure in the Odyssey of the aristocratic suitors trying to woo Penelope, Odysseus's wife, why are they eating at his table every night, and yet they can't either marry Penelope by force or take the kingdom of Ithaca, or I don't even know if it's a kingdom, the territory of Ithaca from Odysseus, and why is Telemachus impotent in these matters? What can he do as the son of Odysseus, and why is Odysseus's father, Laertes, basically exiled to a farm? So there's lots of good commentary on the social aspect. Also the custom of gift giving is so prevalent through Iliad and Odyssey. Every time something happens and a person's like, I'm going to give you a gift, I'm going to give you a gift. And this was really important for why characters did things. And you get great explanations from Finley on the concept of gift giving, why it was so important, how it was done, what were the main items used at that time for gift giving, and other things. So, yeah. Aside from that, commentary on, this was a little before like the Greek polis, but there's still like the community and the household, the oikos. So you learn about the family values, slaves and wealth and labor, how that worked, and bunch of other things from what we know about the 10th and the 9th centuries in Greece. And this isn't a gripping read. I wrote in my quick little review on Goodreads that I kind of bounced off Finley's writing, despite wanting to know what he was saying. It was slow going, and I'm not against academic writing, but something about this just was a little choppy for me. So I wasn't the most impressed, but it fulfilled my goal of learning a little about the world of Odysseus before I start reading Emily Wilson's Odyssey translation. Regarding the NYRB itself, I like the cover. The cover art, Greek school detail of urn depicting figures with chariots and horses from between 900 and 720 BC. The feel of the cover is amazing. I think they use acid-free paper. It is spectacular. The feel of it is awesome. It's so comfortable. The font was great, and yeah. So also the introduction by Bernard Knox. I usually like Bernard Knox, but I thought it was really quite lazy. He basically just restates what Finley said in the preface. So I liked Bernard Knox's introduction, and then I read the preface right after, and it was the same thing. And I was confused. I was like, did Knox just like mail it in, or am I missing something? I don't know. But Moses Finley, quick tidbit anecdote, he was a professor at Rutgers in the 1950s, and he was called to a Senate subcommittee to talk about his. They asked him if he was involved in the Communist Party ever in his life. This is during the Red Scare, and Moses Finley pled the fifth. He was fired from Rutgers, and he expatriated to England, and he taught at Cambridge for decades, and he was eventually knighted by Queen Elizabeth. So, kind of a cool life. Was he in the Communist Party? I don't know, but was he taking a moral stand against the Red Scare, or was he just not willing to incriminate himself? I'm not sure. I haven't looked into his life past Wikipedia and the initial bio. But, interesting guy. So that is the first NYRB Classic on my shelf. And that is also the last NYRB Classic on my shelf, which I was surprised to find, actually. I only bought this book this month to celebrate Historathon, the year-long reading event on BookTube for historical nonfiction. And I had no idea this was NYRB, but I bought it, I saw it, and it's my first one ever, so that's neat. Sorry if I tricked you with my NYRB collection, but it's true. This is my NYRB collection. So it's not a trick. It's totally true. It's not clickbait. And it's inspired by our own T.E. Lawrence, or Christopher of Nubia. So there you go. Thank you, and I'll talk to you later.